And so joining us live is Ejike Okpa, who is a global affairs analyst, even as we begin to unpack this issue. Thank you so much for joining us, Ejike.
For having me.
Now, during the phone conversations, China avoided talks about trade, technology, and other issues, such as Beijing's opposition to the visit of the U.S. House, that is Nancy Pelosi, to Taiwan. Now, do you see this opposition having an impact on the United States' decision on Pelosi's visit to Taiwan?
Um, Yet, but we have to now recognize that U.S. does not have any formal relationship with Taiwan. There's no ambassador or anything of that caliber between the two countries. So, the speaker going there is, you know, basically her own choice. She's not going there to represent U.S. for anything, and as a Speaker of the House, she's entitled by the constitutional duty to do so. Um, how China interprets that is entirely up to them. So far, based on our own news on this side of the Atlantic, it's a tentative visit. It's not for sure that she's going to do it. So we'll see what happens in the next 24 hours. She's actually going to go to Taiwan. But stuff like this is what creates tension in the world, and oftentimes it makes you wonder. The politicians that do this, are they not sensitive to what their actions may generate on both sides? So we'll see.
All right, now let's stay a bit on the trade war between both nations. Now, the US raised concerns about China's unfair non market economic policies and, of course, Russia's war against Ukraine. So, why do you think that US is so concerned about this?
Well, the U.S. is going to be concerned because the traditional thing for U.S. is they want to be number one, and so anytime somebody's trying to take that position from them or come close, they're going to want to know. And they will try to do whatever they can in order to discourage that. So China has, over the decades, been trying to be number one. And so the trade, they're always going to be that acquisition of on trade practices, and we know it. China wants to be the manufacturer of goods, to the world, but China don't want to buy anything from anybody, except if you force them or if you create conditions that make it hard for them to buy from you. So U.S. is not the only one doing it. Every other country talks about China's on trade, their practice, unfair trade practices. So we'll see if China is going to bow, but China obviously seems to be gaining. But and I think the world is becoming aware, even in Africa, most African nations now are, beginning to resist China.
Well, at some point, Beijing actually admitted that many of their interests did align, but it went on to blame the US for the deteriorating relationship, criticizing the Biden administration's view of China as a primary rival and, of course, Washington's most serious long-term challenge. So what do you make of this statement?
Well, I mean, China themselves going to come back and posture as if, hey, we're not the bad ones, so we're not the bad actors. Everybody else has problem with us. We're not doing it. We're not doing anything to undermine anybody. And so that's what they've always done. But the world is getting very, very uncomfortable with China practices, and the way they do it, is beginning to irritate countries. So we'll see again. The countries are now going to start standing up or already standing up against China, and China has to find other ways to make themselves an acceptable partner in the world. Of course, the U.S. has its own concerns, or people have their own concerns about U.S. Anytime you want to be a superpower, other people are going to resist you, and you're going to try to, either intimidate them or do stuff that they can't push you around. And so that's what China is doing now. China has learned how to put their foot forward, and they're now trampling on many countries, and if the weaker you are, the more likely you are going to succumb to China.
All right, so finally, Ejike, the last time we checked, the United States has no official relations with Taiwan whatsoever, but has actually extended some sort of commercial ties, and informal political connections have been established between both countries. So help us understand, why is it that U.S. is ready to go butt heads with China on the issue of Taiwan? Is there something that U.S. is seeing that the world is not seeing?
Well, again, he makes you wonder too. Myself, having lived here for a long time and participated on a lot of stuff, I'm always wondering, China, U.S. and Taiwan, China relationship. Just like, one time, the tension between Hong Kong and China, when that was handed over to China, and then U.S. had their concerns, but that seems to go away. So now the next big one is Taiwan. And Taiwan themselves, want to get that official recognition to have. I mean, they have some presence here. They do certain things in some kind of way, with U.S. support. But when that official title of an ambassador is not extended to you, or where you have embassies in both countries, then it doesn't really matter. So Taiwan is really, really working hard to see how they can get US to do that, and then China say you can't do it, because that's going to undermine their own reputation. And then being the fact that they want to control, they want to take Taiwan back. So it's one of those chess games they play on the international scene.
Permit me to quickly chip this in, Ejike. So despite the mild tension and the test of wits between China and US, are you seeing some sort of compromise on both sides? Do you see both of them coming to table to take a bit of compromise so that they can chart a positive way forward?
Yes, but then you're talking about egos now. Remember, in international politics, it's more about egos. Who is the big boy, who is the small boy, and so who is gonna do the compromise? Is it U.S. compromising with China? And then Taiwan are going to say, oh, why are you doing that? Or the China compromising with the U.S. and that will embolden the Taiwanese. I think this is one of those cases you say, let the sleeping dog lie. Let's just keep going. I believe in love thy neighbor. In this international politics, you see what is going on between Russia and Ukraine that has shocked the world. Why can't countries that are next to each other create that love thy neighbor golden rule, so that way we can have peace. But again, ego becomes part of it, and then in that ego is a bluff. Who is going to stand up? Who has the might to subdue some other person in order for them to submit? So that compromise gets a little more tricky because who is going to yield? You know what I mean? Who's going to back down? Is the U.S. backing down, and then the world say, "Oh, you're no longer the superpower. You no longer have the influence," or China saying, "We're going to back down. Oh, now are you allowing U.S. to come in and put nose into the affair because now they're dealing with your next door neighbor?" So that's the tension.
Well, that's a pretty dicey one over Taiwan there. But then thank you so much, Ejike, for dropping by.
But thank you for giving me an alarm to 7 o'clock in Dallas time. Anytime, I'm up for you guys.
Thank you so much. Appreciate that.